to Shaping the Basin. My guest today is actually someone very new to Klamath Falls, the new director of Discover Klamath, Millie Osgathorpe. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here with you today.
Yeah, I'm excited. Why don't you tell us where you came from?
Yes, absolutely. I'm fresh to the area. This is my third week. So I came from the Florida Sports Foundation. So I was in Tallahassee, but I don't claim Florida as home. I'm originally from Ogden, Utah. So another great mountain community, but thrilled to be back out west and making a difference in the tourism sphere.
That's great. What made you want to come to Klamath?
Klamath is such a hidden gem. I had a friend who was actually working for a Travel Medford, and he told me when I got the opportunity to come out here and see the community, he was like, the second you land in that area, you're going to fall in love with it and want to be out here. And when I came and interacted with the people and the place and the access to recreation, I was just blown away. You know, everyone here is so passionate about what they do. The access to the outdoors is unreal, and it's just a beautiful place to live and such a great opportunity to promote for tourism. As a side note, it's really similar.
It
Ogden
is
and
very
Klamath,
similar.
it's crazy.
Well, tell us how Klamath is similar to your home state of Utah.
I was actually working for Visit Ogden in Ogden, Utah, and Ogden and Klamath have a lot of similarities. There's an Air Force base there, lots of hiking, mountain biking, access to trails. They have a few small ski resorts. So I know we have one here in our area, in our county. So there are a lot of similarities from that aspect. And then the historic downtown, too. So it was really fun when I got the opportunity here in Klamath. I had actually called my executive director at Visit Ogden, and she was like, oh my gosh, this is where Ogden was 15 years ago. So there's so many parallels, which is really exciting because I love my hometown and I love the state of Oregon. And so I'm happy to be here in a community that has so much potential.
And you've been here just a few weeks, so it's probably a little bit like drinking from the fire hose. But what have you learned so far about our community that you love?
There's actually so much. From a personal standpoint, the access to the outdoors is unreal. From a hiking, cycling aspect, that's so fun. But really, the biggest thing from a professional standpoint is the people. Everyone is so passionate. Everyone's so willing to help. You know, everyone I've met has been like, how can we help make you successful? How can we collaborate and partner together? How can we drive tourism? How can we make an impact on residents? I have this sentiment with tourism that if you take care of your residents, they'll take care of your visitors. It has to have that people first mindset. And everyone here really, really gets that and is so willing to jump in and help.
Do you have a particular experience from your first few weeks here that stands out as um, something fantastic so far?
Yeah, I do. I have a few actually. I'm going to talk personally first. I had an opportunity to go hike at Spence Mountain, and it's beautiful there. The Klamath Trails Alliance has done a phenomenal job at mapping out those trails. And so when I think about that in terms of my job, that's such an opportunity for us to push events and to push tourists out there, get them active and outside. And same for residents. And then from a people aspect, like I said, everyone I've met has been so willing to help. But Scott, particularly out at the Running Y, has been phenomenal in making those connections and plugging me in with the community on so many different levels. And for everything from like the Trails Alliance to managing partners to different opportunities to work with local organizations and not-for-profits and see how we can grow and collaborate from those aspects. So working with people like him has been really special and made an impact on me already.
Tell me about your background. I know you told me where you worked, but tell me the kinds of things you were doing in Tallahassee.
So I was the director of sports development for the Florida Sports Foundation. So I was working with 36 sports tourism destinations throughout the state of Florida. So everything from Little League to your professional teams like the Great Blue League and the MLB and things of that nature. So we were doing things across the board from that aspect. But my main role there was to work with the partners, to work with the destinations, to help them elevate the work that they're doing, to shine a light, to be an advocate from a state level. We got to do a really wide variety of unique things from a tourism aspect, specifically driven in sports tourism.
Mhm. And here in Discover Klamath, several months ago, they received a grant to do some study of sports tourism. Um, how do you see that playing into the future of Discover Klamath?
Absolutely. I think it's a segment that will really help the Klamath Basin thrive. With sports tourism, there's so many different avenues you can take, but I have that philosophy of like to be who you are, right? And we're an outdoor recreation community. So when you look at the assets we have, there's so many wonderful natural resources we can utilize from sports tourism. And that's starting small. It's working with the partners that are here that are active in those spaces, right? And building from there and looking at regional event producers and then eventually national event producers. So it's this long-term plan to recruit and grow events here. And with that, it becomes a great opportunity for locals to participate and spectate and to bring visitors in and then drive them back into our local restaurants, our lodging facilities, our local shops, and things of that nature. So there's this long term plan with sports tourism, and I'm really excited to see where it goes for Klamath.
Well, like you've said, there's just a whole lot of opportunity as it relates to that. Do you have a feeling for maybe what some of the obstacles are? Have you gotten any feel for that?
I think it's just a new space, right? We haven't really tapped into that full potential from a large scale. So it's educating the people that are here, finding the partners that want to be involved from a sports tourism perspective, and using what we have to our advantage. I think there's, like I've said, so much opportunity, but it's just this new stage, right? We're at the very baseline, so there's so many different directions we can take it. So it's finding what works for our community and how do we build and grow from there. And then from the aspect of Klamath isn't necessarily well known in the sports tourism sphere. So making those introductions and those connections, in Ogden, we worked with groups like Xterra and Ironman and USA Triathlon and event producers that could potentially come here, but they don't know who we are yet.
Mhm.
Right. So there's this opportunity to present ourselves and present our community and put us on a map in a big way down the line in terms of sports tourism.
What is your focus for, like, let's say the next year at Discover Klamath? What are you going to focus on?
Oh, there's so many different things. When you look at tourism, there's lots of different segments of tourism, right? Of course, we've got the leisure market, we've got the beautiful national parks that we'll utilize from that aspect of things. It's building out from that marketing aspect, sports tourism, booking meetings and conventions. There's agro tourism, dark sky tourism. It's really creating a strategic plan and establishing our team. We're a green team right now. We've got so many wonderful people on staff who are passionate and care. So we're working collectively to figure out what our strategy is moving forward. But I'm really excited to see where things go in the next year and even the next 5 to 10 years, right? I think there's lots of opportunity for us to navigate and find out what our purpose is Discover Klamath and build from there. But like I said, it goes back to that resident sentiment. It's to promote this as a great place to live, work, play, and visit.
What can people expect? I mean, Discover Klamath's been around a little while, and now we're excited to have you there. What can people expect under your leadership?
I would hope that they would see me as someone who's passionate about what I do. I want to be involved. I want to be involved in all the different aspects of tourism. I want to be involved with the community partners from so many different levels. Healthy Klamath is a great example of someone whose vision greatly aligns with what we want to do at Discover Klamath. So it's like, how do we partner from that aspect? I think from that, there's so many different angles we could go from that capacity, but I really want to show them that I'm here for the long haul. I want to make a difference. I want to be someone who drives an economic engine for the area, someone who promotes local businesses and that they see a difference. When we book an event, we want people to go shop and dine locally. And I want those business owners to feel that, that Discover Klamath helped bring this event here. And now there's these people filling our restaurants and they're shopping locally from that aspect. So hoping that we can really use this as a new economic asset for the community and build off of what's already here.
I'm excited about the energy and the passion that you're bringing to the organization. What other strengths do you bring to Discover Klamath?
From a tourism aspect, I've been very fortunate to have a lot of great experiences from a national level, working with groups like Destinations International and Sports ETA and some really well-established industry associations that provide us great education opportunities to grow from that capacity. As an example, I'll be at Sports ETA, which is a trade show, and I'm leading a panel on small to mid-market destinations where we're going to collaborate collectively with other small to mid-market destinations to really talk about what challenges we're facing in a tourism sphere, what's working, what's not working, and how can we better partner together. Another piece that I'm really excited about is that connection with the destinations throughout Oregon. There's such opportunity for collaboration. I had a great call with Travel Salem, and it's like, how can we partner together? How can we elevate the work that we're doing to grow from different capacities, things that we haven't traditionally done before?
Thinking about our audience, I just realized there may be some people out there that aren't really sure what Discover Klamath is. Do you want to tell us what about Discover Klamath?
We are a nonprofit that's purpose is to drive tourism. We have a staff of 4 currently, which is really exciting. we do so many different things within the community from that aspect, but our main goal is to drive tourism, and that looks like a bunch of different things like we've talked about so far, right? There's the sports, there's marketing, there's leisure tourists, there's meetings and events. There's so many different angles you can take from tourism. So for us, our goal is to be this great community partner, to be this gateway to the rest of the county, and to be a stopping point too. If visitors come in and they need resources or information from that aspect, we're here to serve and point them in the right direction.
And you guys, along those lines, you guys run the visitor center here. It is the lobby that the chamber shares, and we share a lot of information out there together. What other kinds of things do you do? Marketing, your advertising out there to the community. How do you get people to know about us?
Marketing is a big piece of that. Mia, our marketing director, is fantastic. She's pushing out blogs, utilizing our website, social media, really sharing our story. We're partnering with different FAMs and content creators that come in or influencers so they can help push our story out on a larger scale. Within our visitor guide, there's different spaces where we were promoting local businesses and driving people back, and our lobby's got information on those different aspects as well. So that way when visitors come in, we can point them in the right direction. So we're here to serve on a multitude of different levels. And then it's really exciting from that capacity.
You said FAMs. Tell us what that is.
Yeah, absolutely. So the FAM tours are when we work with different groups that come in and we help showcase Klamath. We help plan an itinerary and an experience for them here. That could be anything from snowshoeing to cycling, or maybe it's a trip to the museum or something of that nature, right? But they're going to come in and see our community and then help us showcase that community. So they'll write a piece about it or they'll share on their own social media, and we use it as a collaboration tool to drive tourism forward.
Mm-hmm.
So we work with great partners like Travel Southern Oregon and Travel Oregon to network from that capacity and bring more people in to tell Klamath's story.
That's great. You mentioned working with influencers. How does that work? Somebody is coming here and they're an influencer and they're like, hey, I want to do a piece there. Do you go out and find an influencer that you want to invite in? How's that work?
It's a combination of both, actually, and then working with Travel Southern Oregon and Travel Oregon, if they have someone who's vetted and they think would be a great fit that's coming through our area, we'll see if there's an opportunity to partner with them and drive them back and create experiences from that capacity.
Said I'm all about it. Yeah, I'm all about it. Said I'm all about it. Yeah, 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 yeah. Said I'm all about it. Yeah, I'm all about it. Said I'm all about it. Yeah, 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 yeah.
If a picture says 1,000 words, imagine the story. 24 frames a second can tell about your business. 40 Deuce Films.
Do you have a feel yet for what you think maybe the top 3 opportunities in our area are to grow tourism?
Oh, that's a really good question. Okay, I'm going to ask a side question really fast.
Yes.
Opportunities as in like obstacles or opportunities as in...
I was thinking like if we were to grow something, like is there low hanging fruit right now? Or I guess where I'm going with it is, do you think sports tourism is one of the biggest
Okay,
opportunities?
perfect. I always make sure
Is
because
it
sometimes I'm going to ask
meetings?
that and it's...
But I will ask obstacles after that.
Okay,
So
okay.
be
That's what
ready.
I was like...
But let's talk. When I say
Yeah.
this, I mean like what could we grow
Yeah, absolutely.
or
Okay.
put a little bit of effort into?
Perfect.
Yeah, or
That
a lot
sounds
of
great.
effort.
Okay, perfect. So from that capacity, sports tourism is definitely up there. I think there's such a great need for that here in our area, and it's ready to go largely. KTA puts on a few great events. There's other gravel producers here locally that are interested and willing. The Blazing Paddles is doing a pickleball tournament. So there's opportunity from that aspect. I think another piece of that too would be us creating our own events. Discover Klamath has Ride the Rim, but there's opportunity for us to build out and do our own events to draw tourism forward, which is exciting from that capacity too. And then I think we're just scratching the surface from that marketing and leisure tourist perspective as well. I think the national park has a new superintendent, Kevin, which has been fantastic. So I think we can better partner from that capacity and really grow and see how we can create better itineraries for our leisure tourists that's coming through town as well.
All right. What kind of things does a leisure tourist do? Like I'm imagining someone sitting at a pool drinking mimosas. What is a leisure
Yes,
tourist?
absolutely. Well, sometimes it's that, right? It kind of depends on the person that you have. And so it's asking those right questions and making sure we have a variety of different itineraries and information available, because a leisure tourist may be someone who's passing through town who just does want that quiet, relaxing vacation. They want to go to the spa, they want to be in the serene and the quietness of the nature and the woods and things like that, right? So there's that type of tourist, but the leisure tourist could also be someone who is here on a family trip. They're passing through and they want to go snowshoeing for the first time, or they want to visit, an art gallery or a museum or something that they haven't done before. So a leisure tourist can cover a lot of different umbrellas. It's kind of our general term for someone who's here, but not here for a specific event or a reason. That could be someone who comes in and we're like, oh, go to the zip line. There's so many different opportunities and directions that we can point the leisure tourists. And it really depends on that person's certain mission and what they want to accomplish and see while they're in town.
Oh, very nice. That's the way I like to travel.
Yes,
A lot.
absolutely.
Who knew? Along those lines, we just talked about opportunity, but what do you think some of the obstacles are here in Klamath?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's new, right? I think the sports tourism segment is a new piece for us. We haven't really ever outwardly recruited events from that standpoint, coming from Discover Klamath. And so, hearing some of the community feedback, it's just an education piece and making sure everyone does understand what it means, what we're trying to do, and how it benefits. I think another obstacle is, us not having a parks and recreation district per se. That's different than what I'm used to as well. And not having someone to kind of manage those fields and facilities does create obstacles. I know that there's great private management on some of those right now, but when there's not some collective, it can create challenges from that capacity when you look at like traditional youth sports. But overall, there's really not too many obstacles, which is great. Everyone, like I said, is really passionate, bought in, and they're adaptable from what could be and where we're at now.
Thinking about your time here, and I know you're brand new, but you're obviously learning a lot about our tourism. What are a couple of the things that you haven't been able to get to yet that you're really looking forward to?
Oh, I haven't been to the lava beds yet, so I'm very excited about that. And then Lake of the Woods is not thawed. Obviously, it's still very much so frozen, but I'm excited from that capacity. I love to be outdoors, but I've already had an opportunity to go up to Crater Lake National Park, which was phenomenal. I've hit Spence Mountain, done some other trails throughout the community, done some bird watching and things of that nature. So I feel like I've done a good job at least getting some of the pieces done, but I know there's so much that I haven't explored yet. And I'm really excited to discover Klamath myself.
That's fun. It's kind of fun that you'll be able to have that. You're not a tourist, but you kind of are. So you have that fresh perspective.
Absolutely. There's something to be said about being a tourist in your own city, right? And that's what I always challenge people to do. Even if you have lived here your whole life, there's probably things that you haven't gone out and experienced. There's so much here. So I would challenge the listeners to go out and find something that they haven't discovered about Klamath yet themselves.
Yeah, I think I was just having a conversation with someone the other day. I'm guessing when you were thinking about moving here, you may have done some searching about what our community is like. And sometimes, unfortunately, on social media, there can be some not so great comments made. And I think one of the things that's nice about being in the tourism realm or here in the visitor center is when people come in, they're looking at our community from a fresh perspective and they don't see all of the stuff that we're all working on. And I think that's a strength that you bring right now because you have that fresh perspective.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that entirely. I used to say in Utah, like it was so much harder to sell Ogden to people in Utah than it was to sell it to the rest of the country, right? And like I think that may be the same here, right? There's preset notions when you're in a community, but me being fresh into the area, I'm like wide-eyed and bushy-tailed and excited about all the potential opportunities that are here. And I don't see the nuances of things that maybe people have been working on for a long time. I just see this sea of opportunity and potential for what is happening and what's working, but also what could be.
Mm-hmm. So if it was thinking about what you know now and it's 5 years down the road, where do you see us?
Oh, that's a really good question. I see us in a lot of different ways. I'm hoping that we've really driven the economy forward from tourism specifically, that we've improved our events that we're bringing in, that we have some big name events coming through our community, that we've expanded our team, that the downtown is growing, that the shops are full and thriving, that heads and beds, that's what we do. Our hoteliers are happy and that there's lots of people staying here, and that Klamath continues to be a place that's known from that asset that people want to come visit.
How many do you have a feel for how many people are currently coming to Klamath County annually?
I don't know.
Okay, that's okay.
It's good information to have. We're still working on the data-driven activities. So hopefully next time you ask me that, I'll have an answer for you
Great.
from that capacity.
Before this episode, I did put out my upcoming guests and asked some people if they had any questions and allowed them to put that in on Facebook. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions that the audience was curious about. And one of them was about sports tourism, which you brought up on your own. But they just want to ask about sports tourism and where you see that going, and if there's anyone locally you'd name that you plan to work with in that.
I think there's so many different opportunities for us to work with the locals. I think that's our biggest opportunity, is to partner with them. And then that's how you grow, whether it's pickleball, mountain biking, gravel, cycling. We just hosted a high school bowling championship here, right? There's so many different types of events that are happening that are being locally produced, that people are in the community that care. And there's such good opportunity from that aspect for us to partner together. I know Mia's doing the marketing with Blazing Paddles right now. So working with them would be a huge asset, to see how we can grow pickleball in the area, working with the Trails Alliance from what they're doing at Spence Mountain from a mountain biking aspect, right? It's looking at who is doing the work here locally and who's doing it at a state level, finding those great partners and building and growing from there. When I mentioned groups like USA Triathlon or USA Cycling, we would love to have them, but it starts homegrown first, right? We need to make sure our events are operating well, and then we move to that regional level, and then we move to a national level. It's a step-by-step process to really grow and sustainably grow sports tourism, and do it in a way that the community is involved and they're benefiting from it as well.
Well, you make a good point. I think a lot of people out there might be thinking of sports tourism on that big scale, like bringing that triathlon that you mentioned, but can it also be a local or regional baseball tournament?
Yeah, absolutely. That's still sports tourism. If people are coming into our community for an event and they're staying here, that's tourism. It doesn't have to be the big shiny national level, right? There's so many great events that are happening on that statewide scale, that regional scale. There's so much potential just from that opportunity alone.
Mhm. So, talking about you for just a minute, tell me something you've done in your experience so far that you're really proud of.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So from just a personal, what I've
Yeah, just
accomplished or
Millie,
something.
tell me something
Yeah.
you've accomplished.
So last year I was one of Destinations International's 2024 30 under 30. So I was really proud of that. That's an award that's given out by Destinations International, which is the international association for destinations, essentially. So I was really honored to be named one of their 30 under 30. So that's something I'm really proud of. Yeah.
I like that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a big deal.
Thank you. Thank
That's
you.
very good. One of the other audience questions was, well, I don't know. This may be a little new for you, but what's one hidden gem in Klamath County you think everyone should experience?
Oh, it's hard because they're all hidden gems for me right now, I would
That's
say.
what I was going to say. That might be
Yeah,
a tough question.
yeah. I don't think I could name just one experience quite yet, but that's one that we should revisit down the line, because
will.
right now everything is exciting and hidden to
Yeah.
me in a way.
I didn't think about it when I grabbed that off. As someone had
Yeah.
asked that, and then as I was reading it, I was like, she may not know this.
What I will say is, from outdoor recreational standpoint, everything I've done has been fantastic. The food's great. The local coffee shops are wonderful. Like, very happy overall with everything I've experienced.
That's awesome. What do you think the biggest challenge will be in telling the Klamath story to visitors?
I just think we're not as well known from that larger scale visitor standpoint. But I don't think that's necessarily a challenge, right? It's this fresh perspective. We get to create who we are and figure out who Klamath is and how we want to portray ourselves to that visitor world, especially when you're talking about recruiting business from a meetings, conventions, and sports tourism aspect. I think we've traditionally focused largely on the leisure tourist, which is great and something we'll continue to do. But there's this whole world out there of business recruitment from a tourism aspect that they don't know who we are yet. And so we've got this fresh and exciting opportunity to tell our story in a unique and exciting way.
I appreciate your time today. I think it'd be really fun a year from now to kind of interview you again and say, oh, you've been here a year. Tell me what it's been like here.
Absolutely. I would love that. Definitely. And I'm sure I'll have more to share about the hidden gems at that point too.
You did fantastic. Just a couple of quick questions at the end. Is there a podcast or a book that has really influenced you that you'd recommend to people?
Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. I loved that book.
Did you read it or listen to it? He narrates the
yes, he
Audible
does.
one. I'm like, that's the best. It's even his
Yes.
voice.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
that's fun. Tell me about one of your role models.
One of my role models would actually have to be Sarah Tolliver. She's the executive director at Visit Ogden. She started there, I think, 17 years ago. And to see where she took Ogden as a community to where it is now has been really incredible and inspiring to watch. And I feel very lucky now that I have her as such a great mentor as well.
That's great. And then I've been asking this question, but I feel like maybe it may be a little too soon, but I'm going to ask it. If you could put anything on a billboard just outside of Klamath, what would you put on it?
Oh, that's a good question. Anything, huh? I don't know. That's a really good question. Because for me right now, it's like there's so much I would put on from that aspect, It would definitely have to be something within the outdoors to let people know, when you come here that there's so many great places to recreate, whether you want to kayak or climb or hike or mountain bike, it would be something along those lines. But I don't think I could put a finger on exactly what yet.
Yeah. Well, we'll ask you that again in a year.
Yes.
Thank you for your time today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you to our sponsors, Running Y Resort and 40 Deuce Films.